What's up, hockey fans? This is Randip Janda from Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi, with another installment of Inside the Game. And today we got a very special guest, Hockey Hall of Famer, two-time Olympic gold medalist for with Canada, and now Stanley Cup champion with the Florida Panthers, Roberto Luongo. Roberto, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Does it ever get old being called a Stanley Cup champion? Like, has that
It
luster worn off yet?
still feels pretty fresh, so we're gonna ride it as long as we can.
Well, okay, so I saw you at Game 5 2 years ago in Vegas, and I think we were in the catering area. You were getting some chips. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Roberto, you look kind of nervous there. Um, Playing in a Stanley Cup final versus being a management person in management. What's the difference though? Because it was awesome to see you lift the cup, but I imagine it's very nerve-wracking because you don't have much of a control on this situation.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, when you're playing, all the nerves are before the game, just the preparation, the anticipation, and once the game gets going, though, you're just kind of in your rhythm and you just do what you've done your whole life. But in management's a little bit different. You're still a little bit nervous before the game, but all the nerves are during the game. Watching and like you just said, you really can't control what's happening out there, so you just have to leave it, up to the boys on the ice and all the work that we've done off the ice to get the team where it is. So it's much more stressful during the game.
It's a heck of an organization that you guys have built out there. I had a chance to talk to Sasha Barkov right before the Cup final and the poise that he has, and it just seems like it runs through the organization, the confidence and just kind of the calm demeanor. So you're, of course, a hockey legend, but in Vancouver, where I'm at, you can see the logo behind me. We got the Roberto Luongo bobblehead here from your Ring of Honor night. A special night. I was in the building that night as well. How would you characterize your relationship with the city and the fans?
It's awesome. I always look forward to going back every year and interacting with those people. And that night itself was amazing. And I was really happy that my whole family was able to take part of it. And they hadn't been back since I left. And it was just a great trip all around. To see some old friends, visit some old places, be part of that ceremony and take it all in with the fans. It was a great night. I'll never forget it. I always look forward to going back there and now seeing my name and picture up there.
Well, I know at the time you also mentioned that there's a lot of discussion. Vancouver. You spoke to the media here a lot during your days. There's always discussion about the number or the Ring of Honor. You said, the honor is the honor. It didn't matter to you which one happened. But in Vancouver, fans wanted to see, most fans, I would say, the number up there. When you hear that, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel great, like they care and they're passionate about me and their team. I mean, it's the same way as it always been, and that's what makes it so special to be there in that city. I mean, everything revolves around the team, and it's an amazing place to play hockey. And I always embrace the fact that I played there, and when I'm there, it just brings back so many memories. So I appreciate the people cheering me on for that. But like I said back then, and I stand by it today, it's still a tremendous honor, and I'm just as happy as if my number would have went up.
So, when Vancouver fans were watching the Cup final last year, of course, I cover the games on a daily basis. There was a lot of go Lou and don't let the Oilers win. So there's a little bit of both things going on there, as you know
Yeah.
Vancouver really well. But when you won that cup, and I got to say, I have a former co-host here in Vancouver who's Italian. So the gnocchi poutine and the pasta out of the cup, was that a tough decision or was that like in the back of your mind the whole time?
Well, it wasn't. The first one kind of happened spur of the moment thing because we're having a staff dinner right across the street from my brother-in-law's restaurant. So after we were done with it, I just shot over there for a quick pasta in the cup thing, 5 minutes, and we were out of there. So the gnocchi poutine was more of my day with the cup, and I brought it back home to Montreal, and that one was more planned out with my brother at his restaurant. So they both tasted fantastic. I got to tell you, the best pasta and gnocchi poutine I've ever had.
I bet the sweet taste of victory, and of course you can't go home with the you can't go wrong with the homemade pasta. So you talk about your Italian heritage. You're a proud Italian son of an Italian immigrant as well. So I got to be honest with you. A lot of Punjabis and Italians, as I mentioned, my co-host Dan Riccio, I picked up some similarities between the cultures. We love our
Yeah.
food. We can be loud at times as well. We love the big families. For a certain generation, though, like your dad was an immigrant from Italy. How was that initial conversation of, Dad, I want to be a hockey goaltender. I want to be a hockey player, first of all, but second of
Yeah.
all, I want to be a goalie, which is, the the position that stands out in the game.
I mean, listen, they were pretty open about it. I also played soccer as a kid, so I was playing both sports till I was about 12 years old. When I told my parents that I wanted to play hockey around 8 years old, they were very supportive. Hockey is a big part of culture in Canada, as you know, and my dad had been over for a few years, and even though my mom is Italian, she was born in Montreal, so she was a big Canadians fan. So they were very supportive, and I wanted to play goal right away, but they didn't. They wanted me to play out and skate and move around and get some exercise. So that took a couple of years to 2, 3 years to convince them to do that. But at the end, I guess it all worked out and it was fun. And I like the fact that I was able to play multiple sports growing up as a kid and not just focus on one.
Absolutely. And, it turned out to be an amazing decision as well. One of the all-time greats in the sport. Let's go back to your time in Vancouver because I have to be honest with you. When your jersey, your Ring of Honor moment was going on here in Vancouver, I reached out to some of your teammates. Eddie Lack is a good friend of mine. He lives in Arizona now. Of course, I had to reach out to Danny Sabarin, right? May 3rd, 2007. It's the much documented game against Anaheim. He told me his side of the story, the conversation with you and the conversation with Alain Vigneault, which was a quick one of Sabu, get out there.
Yeah.
Uh, when did you realize that, hey man, I'm not going out there? Because it felt like he had no idea. He just didn't see you. He did a quick shoulder check and you were zipping down the hallway.
It was probably like I was already in the hallway getting ready to go out for the overtime. Usually I like to stand out in the hallway when there's like 5 minutes to go before we get on. I mean before the period starts. So I was standing out there and I was like, yeah, I don't think I'll be able to make it. I might have to use the restroom. And they told me that the ref would wait for me. So that's the part that kind of got me. So as I was, doing my business, that's when I heard the play starting, and that's when panic set in for me. So
For the backup goaltender, I imagine it's just going in cold and nature calls, right? But it's an iconic moment, and you had a number of moments in Vancouver, but that one obviously stands out for comedic reasons. But we look at what happened in Vancouver and your relationship, but even going back to Florida, there's a lot of folks that absolutely loved you here in Vancouver, across Canada. The Olympic experience, because that was, I think, a moment where, of course, being in the home city Vancouver, you're playing, but that was also a moment where all of Canada kind of rallied around you and the team. How was that moment as of course, a Canadian, but sports is tribal, right? If you're a fan of the Vancouver Canucks, it's most likely that other teams hate you in Canada.
yeah.
How was that from a player's perspective? Because everybody came together.
Yeah, I mean, for that 2 week period, you got to put that stuff aside and root for your country. So it was nothing like I've ever experienced before. I mean, the intensity of the whole thing was unmatched, especially when we got to the pinnacle, which was the gold medal game. It was so much riding on everything. Being in Vancouver where I play, obviously home country. Felt like the whole country watching the whole world. So it was one of the most intense moments of my life, but one that will always be engraved in my memory. So I just remember the nerves throughout the not just the last game, but throughout the whole 2 weeks, especially when I found out that I was going to start the rest of the way. It was very nerve-wracking because there was so much at stake, and you wanted to come out on top, and there was not a lot of sleep. Let's just put it that way. The last few nights.
Yeah, not only did you guys have fun, I remember I was just getting started in the business at that point and was walking on Hornby Street, downtown Vancouver, after the game, and a guy who had slick back, hair, he kind of had a Mediterranean look to him. People lifted him up on the shoulders and were just chanting Lou and walking him, carrying him down the street. So not only did you get some love, people that
Yeah.
looked vaguely close to you were also getting that love that day as well. Speaking of Team Canada, though, I did want to hit you up on the Four Nations face-off. Of course, you had the goaltending department in Florida. Team Canada goaltending, you played there along with Brodeur, Marc-Andre Fleury, Carey Price, Mike Smith. Some would call it the golden era of Canadian goaltending. Now it's a little different. The depth maybe not there at the senior level. What's up with the Canadian goaltending right now? Do you think it kind of is cyclical, or is there something going on in the Canadian setup that maybe has the golden age has passed a little bit.
Well, I mean, there's a lot you can attribute to many different things. We don't know exactly why, but the rest of the world is caught up pretty much. When back in my day, most of the goalies came from Canada. We were kind of like dominating at that position, and now the rest of the world's caught up. Like every country has amazing goaltending coaches. They teach the kids at a young age, and they're great goalies. So there's not as many of us around. But there's still some good ones. I wouldn't dismiss them. I think, the top two guys that were named, they've won Stanley Cup. So they've proven that they can win at a high level. The confidence from my side of it is there for those guys. I know that in big moments, those guys will come through.
And you know Sam Montembeau a little bit as well, of
Yeah.
course, having come through up to the Florida system as well. So I know the country is going to be cheering for those three guys. It's great to see international hockey back, best on best. Before I let you go here, super gracious of your time. You've been very kind with it. Want to hit you with some rapid fire, Lou. Just
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a title or a phrase your way, and you let me know what player or situation comes to mind. A little bit from your fandom, or maybe as a peer, but who's your favorite all-time goalie?
I became a goalie because of Grant Fuhr, so he would be number one on my list.
All right. And the best shooter you ever faced, like in terms of release or the guy that, just you had a lot of appreciation for.
Well, shooter, I would say Ovi, but probably the guy that I was most scared of was Shea Weber with that cannon. So that was the only time I've ever flinched in a game was when he took a 1T from the dot.
All right. Yeah, can't blame you on that one. An absolute beast of a player. Funniest teammate. I know that you had a few to choose from over the years. Who was the guy that just had you, laughing all the time?
Probably Keith Yandel.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna assume Hornacek. I'm not gonna lie. I know Darcy a little bit, but
Yeah,
Yandel.
but
Okay.
he made me laugh, but he also made me angry at times. So
All
that
right.
negates it.
That's the Horty I know as well. Who's the biggest pain in the rear end to play against?
Probably Bufflin. Back in my day, he just had real estate in my crease and just parked himself in there the whole time.
All right. Most intense coach.
I would say Torts.
Torts. All right. And this one, I know you got this one. Okay. Torts, of course, we got to go back to the outdoor game and
Yeah.
all that. Little note on that. Eddie Lack, still to this day, says, I wish I could have turned down that start. He loves you that much.
No, I know. We've talked about him many times. So he's a great guy. Hey, listen, everything happens for a reason, and unfortunately, that was not my best moment, but things happen for a reason. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, so I've seen you also. You've made appearances on WWE. You've hung out with the Bollywood boys, who are local
Yeah,
guys here in Vancouver, doing their thing. So my final question to you, because we love to
yeah.
throw a little bit of a collaboration here every now and then. Favorite wrestler of all time?
Of all time,
Yeah.
probably Stone Cold.
Okay. All
So
right.
I'll just go generations. So when I was a kid, it was Hulk Hogan, then it was Stone Cold, and now it's Roman Reigns.
Okay. All right. So you're the OG bloodline. Love it.
Yeah, LG.
All right, Roberto, thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on the show. Big fans over the years, all of us on the show, and really appreciate what you've been able to do for the game in Canada and across North America. So thanks very much for making an appearance on our show, and take care.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Appreciate it.
There you have it, Roberto Luongo, of course, legend, Hall of Famer, and now Stanley Cup champion. Tell us what you thought in the comments below. We'll hit you up next time.